It's kind of the last place you'd look for a library. The long hallway of an old brick warehouse at a sanitation department. Like long rows of white garbage trucks parked nearby. What the heck? Why put a library there? I mean, who thought that was a good idea? This is the true story of one of the world's most unexpected libraries and what it has to teach us about libraries and good ideas and community resilience and garbage collecting. You're listening to I Heart This. I'm Ben Lord. Let's talk about what we love. Every morning in Shanghai, which is a cosmopolitan downtown neighborhood of Ankara, which is Turkey's capital city, the garbage collectors make their rounds. They drive big white trucks with compactors just like you might see in any other city. And like garbage collectors everywhere, you'll see them hanging on the back of the truck as it lumbers from dumpster to dumpster down the street. And also, like garbage collectors anywhere, they do absolutely necessary work. I mean, without them, the city would be covered in its own waste. In the Shanghai neighborhood alone, the collectors remove about 1,300 tons of garbage each day. And also, like garbage collectors anywhere, the importance of their work is often forgotten. Shanghai is a wealthy modern part of the city. It's where you'll find the Turkish parliament, the presidential palace, universities, embassies. But the garbage collectors who clean up the streets of Shanghai aren't from the echelons of society that live there. But what does all of this have to do with libraries? As one of the garbage collectors told a German news team, as a child, I would have loved to have books. But we lived in a poor district, and often there weren't any books on sale. Not that we could have afforded them. Because Turkey, even though it has more people than any country in Europe, except Russia, it still has fewer public libraries than any of them. About one library for every 70,000 people. For comparison, most countries in the EU have a library for about every 6,000 people. In the United States, about 7 library books are checked out per person per year. In Finland, it's about 20. Yet another reason to move to Finland. In Turkey, one library book is checked out for every 10 people. One book for 10 people. It can be hard for residents of wealthy countries to remember, but we still live in a world with a vast information divide. On one side are those of us who have so much information that it overwhelms us. It drives us to distraction. It chokes public discourse. It makes any one bit of information cheap. But many of the world's people live on the other side of this information divide, where books and information are hard to get. They live in a comparative information vacuum. And when knowledge is harder to get, every bit of it is worth more. So you can imagine both why the upper middle class residents of Shanghai tossed their old books out with the trash, and why the garbage collectors of Shanghai, upon finding them, would be so excited to take them home to their families and friends. Which is what happened. Eventually, they began to build a collection of books held in common to trade and exchange with each other. It was sometime in 2018 that the workers realized that there was this untapped potential in the books that they were diverting to the compactor, and they approached the sanitation company that they worked for with this idea. Could they store their growing collection of books at the sanitation headquarters as a kind of library for the workers? And the company said, okay. They converted a hall in this vacant brick warehouse and lined it with bookshelves. And after 6 months, they had about 5,000 volumes, enough to fill about 25 standard bookcases. The project was so successful that it was soon designated a public library. And as word spread, the people of Shanghai began donating used books directly to the library instead of tossing them in the trash. And people other than the sanitation workers began to borrow the books and magazines and periodicals that they were collecting. And soon schools and education programs began to ask if they could borrow materials too. So the little workers' library became a kind of a community information hub. As donations continued to pour in and the collection grew, the sanitation workers couldn't keep up. So the city hired an employee full-time to manage the library's collection. Word spread around the region. When the story started to get passed around on social media, donations started pouring in from all over Turkey, and attention came from all over the world. That internet notoriety was like any other internet notoriety, a quick firework of flame. News agencies came from Europe and North America, conducting quick interviews for 3-minute human interest stories. But even after that flare of interest dimmed, the library's collection still continued to grow. The sanitation department retrofitted an old garbage truck as a bookmobile that now takes the library's collection to local schools and neighborhoods. Today, the Workers' Library is home to 40,000 volumes. By the way, that's more than twice as big as my hometown library, and it is a point of pride for the workers who built it. Why did this story capture so much attention that reporters from halfway around the world came to check it out? Why does it surprise and delight us, people like me who will never go to Ankara? I mean, it's not surprising that people throw books away, and it's not surprising that there are people out there who want them. I mean, anyone who's been to a used bookshop knows that one book can live many lives, and that people love to find literary orphans and give them homes. I think there were several things in this story that inspired me and that made me want to retell it here to you. First, it reminds me just how much people want to read and have access to books. Libraries matter. Books matter. Access to them regularly, quietly, consistently opens doors of opportunity and changes people's lives. In the book, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, William Kamkwamba tells the true story of how a local library in his small village in Malawi changed the course of his life. It was a spare collection of books in a squat, functional building funded by an American NGO. But in it, Kamkwamba, as a young boy forced to drop out of school, found enough inspiration and information to build a windmill out of scrap parts that powered his family's house, irrigated their fields, and raised him out of poverty. Even on my side of the information divide, in a world of banal tweets and vapid celebrity interviews and memes angling for a quick laugh, people still want more than just to be entertained and outraged. They want rich stories and context and complexity, the kind that books and libraries bring. In addition to opportunities, libraries also provide refuge from the maddening, frenetic pace of 24-hour news cycles and endless feeds. Libraries are a bastion of slow, focused, long-form story. The kind that challenges us to think and to grow, and even, I like to hope, even in this age of influencers, to grow wise. Second, this story delights me because of the workers themselves. Service work is hard, and it's often poorly compensated and seldom appreciated even by people who come face to face with the servers. If this story surprises us, perhaps it's because we underestimate our fellow human beings. Did we fail to expect the garbage men to care, to want to read, to share? These workers remind me that no matter who we are or what we do, we can all bring our whole selves to our work. And I identify with the pride of building something worthwhile and the dignity of building it yourself. I admire their creativity and resourcefulness and their curiosity, and I am grateful for the reminder of our shared humanity. As one worker put it in an interview with one of those news programs, refuse workers aren't only people when they take away the trash. Finally, I think part of the reason that this story delights me so much is because of how the world responded. When the workers went to the company with an idea that would have no way of increasing profits or maximizing shareholder values, they responded by saying, "Hey, that's a great idea. We could use this building." I think I tend to have the unconscious expectation that companies and politicians and bosses will be stuffy and obstructionist by default. But in this case, at least, that wasn't true. People supported this library before it was ever apparent that it would grow, because they could see that it would be good for people who wanted it. And when it was a success, people kept investing in it, even when there was nothing in it for them. So now, somewhere in the middle of a Turkish city, in an old warehouse at the sanitation headquarters, right behind rows of garbage trucks, there's a library. It's a place where anyone can go to get a book or a magazine and sit and read a while. It's a place where books matter, where people matter, and a place that reminds me how often I underestimate the goodness of the world. Hey friends, if you're inspired to support a homegrown attempt to make the world a better place, here's a few things you could do to support this one. 1, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can find a link to the channel in the show notes. 2, leave a comment there telling folks what you liked. And 3, send a friend a link to an episode that you think they'd enjoy. And thanks. I Heart This is written, edited, and produced by me, Ben Lord. Our logo was designed by Brian E. Morrow Cribbs. Our website is iheartthispodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, be kind, be curious, and be thankful.